you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. Oh my gosh, this show has just super evolved.
Yeah.
It started off with a little bit of my life story. It started off talking about, mindset and how to change your life. We've had so many different people come in so many different capacities. So it is my genuine pleasure to welcome back Dr. Jeremy Maxwell from the Wellness Way.
I'm absolutely thrilled to be back.
Thanks.
I was telling so many people how much fun I had last time I was on here.
It is fun. We're fun.
I can do these all the time.
Okay.
Obviously, I have a lot to share,
Mhm.
a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed, getting to know your story.
Oh, man.
And honestly, it's not very different from the perspective of where people are coming from in regards to, I think we even talked about this before.
hmm
Everybody's kind of got their own prison.
That's exactly right.
Whether it's, your
And if they're
story,
anything like me, they want to get out.
they want to get out, and obviously, you had to do some things 1st
Mhm.
to get out. And I think that's no different than anybody that's maybe struggling with weight, gut health in general. I haven't yet to meet somebody that really doesn't want to improve their health.
Yeah.
Now, they may not want to go the extreme that I want to go to, or
Mm-hmm.
some of the people that we work with, but we have them all across the spectrum.
Yeah.
So if there's one thing that people hear today is it doesn't matter where you are,
hmm
start somewhere.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be a physical prison of your own body. Like I was in a physical prison, but a lot of times people feel trapped in these bodies. But I really feel like we need to make sure we keep coming back to discipline, consistency, perseverance, because if you're not dedicated, then it's hard.
Mhm.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
And those small steps are an easy way to become dedicated. Would you agree?
I would absolutely agree.
All right. Well, you got some good
I
topics.
want to take it like one step further
Yeah.
before we kind of dive into, basically, I want to go into the gut-brain connection and the gut-heart connection,
hmm
and how, again, we established this last time, that medical practice, what most people are accustomed to is seeking healthcare
hmm
in the medical profession, does not line up with medical research. And so
Wow.
I'm going to show what medical research show. It's like there was no question the connection between the gut and the brain, the heart, and every body. Talked about the Swiss watch principle last time.
Those cogs.
Yep.
So you need to go back and check out the cogs, because
Yep.
if something in
Check
that
it
watch is not working, lots of different things are going to be
Absolutely.
broken.
But what I really want to say before we start, because this, I think if everyone will like literally come to not understand it, but really believe this,
hmm
it's the first step to transformation when it comes to your health, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental.
So it all starts in the stomach.
No,
It doesn't.
not what I'm going to
Okay.
say right now. I'm going to say you're not broken.
Hmm.
You have been led to believe that your body is broken, it's jacked up, and that you have to rely upon the medical system for anything. And
Okay.
I absolutely disagree.
Me too.
This human body was wonderfully created.
Fearfully.
It was masterfully designed.
Uh-huh.
And I guess desperately need all of you to understand this.
Mhm.
Like, you were genetically programmed for health. You were not genetically programmed for disease. Because
Expound.
okay, so let's say when we're done here,
hmm
we got a table here that has some sharp edges. If you get up and leave the room and cut your leg,
Yeah.
do you need to go eat a sandwich, sleep, and exercise in order for that cut to heal?
I'm going to say yes, because you're here.
No,
No?
it already knows to do that.
Oh, snap. Okay.
So,
Well, I didn't see that
So
coming.
when you, I know we probably didn't talk about it last time, but
Uh-huh.
in our inflammation events that we do every month in my office and
Mhm.
online, I ask people, where does health come from? And
Okay.
those are the three things they say, like 99% of the time:
Diet.
diet, sleep, and exercise.
True.
So
I went
it sounds
for it.
funny, but if you cut your leg,
hmm
in order to heal, do you need to go sleep or order a sandwich from Subway or go exercise?
No, because we just learned that our bodies heal ourselves or heal themselves. They know to.
Subconsciously, it knows to do that. So there's already like immune cells and receptors that sense there was damage.
hmm
There's a cascade of events that signify or signal the immune system to the brain. stem cells are called upon. Everything is, it already knows what to do.
Okay.
Now, what happens is we do things that interrupt that program.
Like so many things
Like
in life, we hold
drugs,
our own cells back.
or we, we have stress, or you take medications, for
Mhm.
instance, like a statin drug, which will block the production of cholesterol.
Okay.
So your liver makes that, and that's a normal function. But if you take a drug that tells your body to stop making cholesterol, one of the side effects is that you become a slow healer. So again, you don't become disease-ridden because you're deficient in medications. Your body goes in that direction because you've either created deficiencies
Okay.
or toxicities, or you have a lot of mental stress that kind of creates both and interferes with normal function.
I remember you told us, I think it was 3 T's. 3 T's. Tell us about it again.
Trauma,
Mm-hmm.
toxins, and thoughts. That
Okay.
is the premise of chiropractic care. Like, those are the things we want to evaluate with every patient when they come in.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have had trauma, car accident, anything physical, sports related,
Mm-hmm.
that can interfere with how the spine works. So when
Okay.
there's misalignment, now you've created a short circuitry between the brain and the body back to the brain. It's just this feedback loop.
Okay.
So, again, most people, when they go, "Oh, you're a chiropractor," thank God I don't need you yet. I'm like, actually, you do need me. You just don't know it.
I really feel like chiropractor is not doing you justice. I really know. And I'm not just like throwing flattery out here, because I've been to the chiropractor before and they may have told me a little about, some health choices, but that was it. So I want to say that when I really started looking into the wellness way, I was like, wow, this is so much more than chiropractic. Would you agree?
It's so much more than the perception of chiropractic.
Ooh, yeah, we never want to throw shade on our peers.
People perceive what we do as only spine related, only adjustments, but we encompass a wellness lifestyle.
Okay.
But what makes the wellness way unique is that the wellness way is, I think, the chiropractic model to follow.
Okay.
Because if you're only adjusting, that's only one piece of the 3T model.
Yeah, that's how we look at the trauma. Mm-hmm.
Now we need to look at toxicity. So that can either be deficiencies, toxicity. We run blood labs, urine, stool, to evaluate the physiology. So
Okay.
what your current lifestyle led you to where you're at. And then, so we've got trauma getting adjusted. Toxins, we can measure that with blood, urine, poop, and other things. And then stress.
Yeah.
Okay, we can also measure that too. But we can also get to know a patient on a level of what kind of mental trauma have they had? What kind of stressor they have? Do they have relationship issues? Now, are we licensed to handle that kind of stuff? No. There are things that we can do. I mean, there's a lot of just mindset things that people can do. I mean, everything you probably studied and myself, when you truly connect with it, does it take 6 months to change your mind?
No, it does not.
Mean, it's like that, right?
Exactly.
Like when it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, like I can change this right now. Now, is there still a process to the work that needs to be done? Absolutely. Well, so health is no different.
I want to touch on the thoughts aspect, because I feel like the better we feel about ourselves, it really channels through our thoughts. It does. I remember when I was in, my prison, or not my prison. It was a lot of people in prison. I would, do the little things that I could to try and make myself feel better. Like, periodically you could get new uniforms. So, I started schmoozing people so I could always have new uniforms. And it was just like the little things that you could do because you couldn't do much. But I know this, when I had the things that we're all women. I remember I was clinging on to some makeup for way too long. We're not even going to talk about that. But when I had a visit or something, my family came, it felt good to embrace that. So when you get an adjustment and somebody tells you, hey, listen, I really want to do some blood work. I really want to see maybe what's slowing you down. What are your ailments? And you can really delve into that. That's going to affect your thought process right then. I just want to, circle back to your patient who we talked about before, who was battling endometriosis, and through some diet choices and changes was able to be cured.
Yeah.
Imagine the self-esteem boost after dealing with something almost your whole life. So I feel like when we make this progress towards healing our bodies, it heals our minds. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And that's going to tie perfectly into our gut brain connection.
Let's go.
So, it's funny because that's why I put on a jacket.
Why?
Because it's like you step up, you raise your vibration. It's like, you want to look good.
Yes, absolutely.
You
I'm a
good,
fan.
you feel good.
He had to break that down for me. I didn't know if maybe he put on a jacket because it was cold. Because I was like, I need one.
It's like my alter ego.
Okay.
It's basically like when that comes on, or it's my vest.
You're about business.
It's like, all right, this is like it's bringing my whole vibration up to a level of professionalism. I'm the authority. I don't know. And plus, I just like.
It's your cape. It's your Superman cape.
I got all kinds of shoes and.
Me too. This is my spirit man.
I have more than my wife. More shoes.
Spirit man, man. But yeah.
So gut brain connection.
Let's get it.
Here's why this is so critical. So,
well, 1 second before we get started, his gut must feel good because guess how? Look at him. You know what I'm saying? His mind is great.
I'm like 10 days post 50.
That's true. He came on his 50th birthday. That's why you need to circle back and watch it.
That's right.
All right. Tell about this gut.
So again, the premise of kind of what I want to connect you guys with today is there is a ton of research out there on the Library of Public Medicine called PubMed. And I honestly believe that research aligns more with my profession as a chiropractor than it does the medical approach.
Yeah, I can agree.
Because what you'll find in the research, I don't understand why medical doctors and most of those practitioners don't bring this to the table. I mean, I do understand because it's not set up to win in the insurance world.
No.
You're basically, you have a symptom, you have a drug, submit it, pay for it, reimburse it, and they get paid on the back end of all these things. So
it's actually true.
It's a very bad situation. But that being said, I'd love to use this stuff to show you how it connects with the chiropractic world and well-being. So obviously, when I say gut-brain connection, most people are very familiar with that now. They know the gut, if it's not good, that can affect your mental aspect. But I want to dive a little deeper so you guys know that I bet most of your listeners in some way, shape, or form have heard of leaky gut.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah. I just recently learned about it. And guess what? There's so much about the gut. I remember our conversation, and I'll turn it right back over to you. Before we got started, after we shot our last episode, I was like, what about intermittent fasting? Because everyone talks about intermittent fasting and that, letting your gut go to work, those enzymes or whatever, let it go to work other places. And he told me some really informative things, like it's different for a woman than it is for a man. And that's another thing I like about Dr. Jeremy Maxwell.
Everybody's bio-individual.
Exactly. So back over to you so we can find out about the gut and then maybe a little bit about bio-individuality.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our body has all kinds of barrier systems. So when you think of a barrier, what do you think of?
Something that's going to hold you back, something you might have to break through.
Something that'll hold you back, break through, or provides protection.
True.
So from the body's perspective, barriers are there for our protection. And it allows us to adapt to the external environment versus the internal environment.
Okay.
Now, if that's compromised, things can get through that we don't want to get through. Maybe things get out that shouldn't get out.
Right.
So inside our gut or microbiome, we have an array of certain bacteria that should be there, viruses, yeast, parasites, like all of that is part of this symbiotic relationship that we need each other to survive and thrive. Now, if there's imbalance or what they call dysbiosis, that disturbs that normal function. And that is what sets up that process of breaking down the barrier. So drugs can do that. Stress can do that.
And when you say drugs, you mean even pharmaceutical drugs that we're taking to benefit us. Yeah, go ahead.
Close to 50% of the population take at least one prescription medication. More than that when you throw in, over-the-counter stuff. So we've got stress can do it. Medications can do it. The standard American diet can do it. And what happens then is there are basically gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria in your gut.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to get too super nerdy in there because I don't want to lose people.
Well, we got people tuning in, and I'm happy about it. Thanks.
There's a balance. There's a homeostasis to this. Now, the gram-negative bacteria can become very toxic to us.
Okay.
They call it an endotoxin. And when these lipopolysaccharides, all right, get too high, that begins to disturb not only the barrier system in the small intestine, but those cause inflammation that then travel up and disturb your blood-brain barrier.
What are some of the foods that are going to give us that?
Well, it can be any of the standard American diet foods, processed foods, too much bread, too much sugar, anything that creates the imbalance and allows these bacteria to get too high. It creates chronic inflammation.
Well, I'm going to say what the kids say. The food pyramid is trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's
the wellness way, we say if you follow the food pyramid, you're going to look like the food pyramid.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible.
That's true, right?
Yeah, but it's set up for failure, and I don't even know where it came from. But probably the Federal Drug Administration. Be careful. Okay, I'm not going to go down that hole yet.
So I want to share with you some things on here. So too many lipopolysaccharides basically leads to a leaky brain. And it's not just me saying it. It's like right here in the abstract.
Leaky brain?
Let's blow this up because I am a little.
We need to gear you up for PowerPoint next time.
That's right. So here we go. Changes that lead to excessive release of LPS. So again, these gram-negative bacteria, they have this protective mechanism. So like think of it like a helmet. They're trying to protect themselves from antibiotics and all these things. But when it gets too much, now it becomes very disruptive to us.
That's our barrier, that helmet.
Yeah, and it can create an impaired blood-brain barrier. So now the blood-brain barrier is supposed to keep out a lot of stuff. There's only a few things that should be circulating around your brain. All right. Now
he doesn't know my brain because it's like
when that gets disrupted, now this inflammatory process can occur. And now we have activated immune cells in the brain, causes neuroinflammation, which we can measure on a Dutch test, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That's a urine test we do.
Wow.
And this chronic neuroinflammation causes neuronal damage and synaptic loss, leading to memory impairment.
Which could be dementia or Alzheimer's. Is that correct?
These cellular changes in the brain give rise to specific clinical symptoms such as locomotor function, like MS. Muscle weakness, MS, paralysis, learning deficits, and dementia.
Wow.
So see, I didn't just say that. That's what the research says.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And through a bad diet, it's like we're setting ourselves up for failure. But a lot of times we know what we're doing. We just haven't found a starting point. And I'm always leery when a friend of mine is like telling me, oh, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to do keto. I'm going to completely change. You can't completely change everything and be consistent. Some people can. Don't let me tell you, don't let me lead you down astray. However, it's those small steps. It's those small steps. And as this man is telling you, it is finally coming to the forefront. Because when I grew up, no one was talking about what goes on in your stomach and how important it is to keep those balances. Nobody was eating yogurt for other reasons other than it tastes good. Nobody was really interested in pre and probiotics. Right. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean,
because listen, he's proud to be 50. I'm proud to be 45. So, I feel like around that generation, we didn't learn about things like that.
No, it was cool when my wife Shelby does our nutritional education in the office. One of our recent clients was like, why is this not taught in school?
Absolutely.
And I'm like, well, all the wrong stuff basically has been taught in school. So it's not to create any kind of,
backlash on the school system.
Yeah.
However, there's so many things.
The proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're not teaching financial literacy, which is huge.
They're not talking food literacy.
Yeah.
And all we're producing are these sick, overweight, people that are just like fall in line and only go to the medical doctor for this. And so it's like I think we've made a pretty good break in a lot of that. People are starting to wake up and realize, oh, like my body is actually capable of regenerating itself and healing when you feed it right. You know, I mean, these
That's
concepts, what happens in the human body is no different than what like a regenerative farmer is going to do. Regenerative farmer
Explain
is not
it.
going to grow amazing organic fruit and whatever he's going to grow because he's putting all these amazing chemicals in his dirt.
No.
You know, what they've found is that, you know, you don't want to till and disturb the microbiome of the dirt. You want to bring in grubs and worms and sunlight and rain and do this naturally. And you get a better outcome that has nutrients in the food. Well, the body's no different. You know, people don't get ear infections because they got deficient in an antibiotic.
Okay. Why do they get them?
Because there's been a disruption in the normal aspect of the human body. So your ears are made to drain. So if they're filling up with fluid, why is that? Well, I've seen it with food allergies. I've seen it with spinal misalignments and stress. All of those are contributing factors to why somebody gets an ear infection. And it can be the same thing as to why somebody can even eventually get heart disease. So even the same disruption, that elevated LPS will actually activate as a protective mechanism against these dangerous endotoxins, a thing called lipoprotein A. So if anyone dives deep into the cardiovascular world, lipoprotein A can be a very strong indicator whether you're going to have a stroke or cardiovascular disease.
Wow. I bet that's where Lipitor came from.
I mean, they try.
Yeah.
See, those drugs, that's why they don't test that very often, because their drugs can't manipulate LPA or LP little a. Now, what I hope this is not too much for you guys.
No.
It's like the coolest connection for me.
Okay. Cool connection.
Are you familiar with Crohn's disease?
Yes, I am, and it's terrible.
Yeah, so it's an autoimmune response where damage starts to happen to part of the colon and like a specific section to the small intestine. Now, interestingly enough, the reason that happens is lipopolysaccharides get too high, which causes an immune response to raise what's called tumor necrosis factor alpha.
So you just tied the heart in, correct?
And this all ties into the heart as well. So when tumor necrosis factor gets too elevated, which is a response to chronic inflammation, it damages the tissue
of the intestine and the wow.
And the LPA goes up in response to try and inhibit or block too much tumor necrosis factor.
Wow.
Now get this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Have you ever heard of Humira?
Humira. I think yeah,
That's
and it can treat that and then something else too.
And all these other gut diseases. You know what the mechanism of action for Humira is?
Tell us.
It is a tumor necrosis factor alpha blocker.
Okay, so tumors, necrosis means it's dying, alpha, and then blocker.
That's part of the immune cell that how they named it. So that drug is inhibiting a normal immune response. You do that long enough, they become immunosuppressed. And now they become more inclined for infections. Now, the cool thing was I found, like, I'll just, for lack of a better word, what's called a type of probiotic called Saccharomyces boulardii.
You're killing us now with these words, okay? Next time, no big words.
No big words.
Nothing over 9 letters for this man. Nothing over 9 letters. Okay, continue.
But
you got him this time.
There's natural things that have the same mechanism.
Okay. Such as so instead of we're going to using Humira, which for the L word.
Well, let's just say this.
Yeah, what are we going to do? The natural.
So for anyone who has autoimmune conditions, whether it's gut, thyroid,
and there's so many,
there are other options for you. Just like Nicole found another option to fix her endometriosis.
Yeah.
There are other options for you to de-stress your immune system. So see, if they don't do a poop test, like if you have Crohn's disease, IBS, inflammatory bowel disease, and your doctor never runs a stool test, you're never going to get to the root of where potentially inflammation is chronically coming from.
Okay. Now we talked about our age and that we're in similar age. Here's another thing. When I was growing up, I never heard of anybody with Crohn's disease. I never heard of anybody with IBS. And fast food wasn't like it is now. I mean, well, now it's super expensive too. You know, back then it was super cheap, but you were getting.
And you were actually getting some food.
Yeah. And here's another thing too. Like the American family, we didn't go out to eat all the time. I didn't grow up with people on my street that were going to McDonald's 3-4 times a week. It just wasn't feasible. I mean, and I really feel like, my family was middle class, but I don't feel like the upper class was going to the fast food restaurants like that as well. So don't close your computer because I shut down your 9+ letters.
No. I already have what I need.
Okay, good. So I just want to talk about that. All of these new illnesses, if we're on the same, they're just popping up because we take such poor care of our bodies, and it's been a natural progression that now we have more access to these things. Now it's more on the go. So if I don't have blood work to tell me exactly what I need to be doing for my gut, until I get that, what can I do? What's that small step? And then lead us up to larger steps if you can.
Yeah, until testing can get done, one of the best things you can do is eliminate sugar.
I think he told me to. Yeah. And then
now I know that's very broad.
Yeah.
So let's try to break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's for sure get rid of the processed sugar.
Okay. Which could be in everything.
I mean, it can be in all kinds of things. So like if you're eating pastries, if you're eating bread from the store, that's going to process sugar in it. Going to your coffee shops and getting all I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I got a little latte here today with coconut milk instead of regular milk.
Okay.
Half the pumps.
Which is okay to treat yourself sometimes, though, right? We don't want to completely.
But my body's different than somebody else that say has a fatty liver. Well, that's gonna wreck them. People with fatty liver that we work with often have a period of time where we have to even take all fruit out.
Now, what'd you say it was gonna do? It was gonna wreck.
It'll wreck them.
Wreck them. Damn near killed them.
Oh. My God. Watched that on vacation. My son's friend had never seen Black Sheep. And I'm telling you,
I'm sorry.
That was the funniest scene of, he's like offering him some weed, and he's like, nope, never do. Plenty to get everybody high here in the room. It's like, but sorry.
We cannot keep it together too long on Sarita Talks. You know what I'm saying? Because clearly it all ties into your mindset. If you see a good joke, go for it. But if you hear something that is poignant and you can't get over it, you hear something that's poignant and it makes sense. It makes sense now because all of these diseases are, popping up and they're damn near killing them. They are.
And I have no problem saying that most of them have all been medically induced and lifestyle induced.
Yeah, lifestyle. If you don't want to think that that healthcare is, completely bad, because it's not completely bad, you've got to think and reevaluate how you're living.
Well, yeah. Remember we talked about our analogy, the fire department versus the carpenter.
And I love that. Tell us again.
So let's kind of like set this up so people understand. So obviously we have two models of which people can do healthcare. And for this analogy, let's just say the medical system is the fire department.
Okay.
And what we do as chiropractors and the wellness way, we're carpenters.
Okay.
All right. Now, if somebody's going to have a stroke or a heart attack, the best educated people for that and dealing with that are the medical profession. They have the tools and the education that will help keep them alive. Now, where people kind of screw up after the fact is they go back to the fire department expecting them to rebuild their body. They don't have the tools and the right education for that. They're good at putting out fires. We, on the other hand, as carpenters, we're excellent at that. We assess the damage. We run some tests, do some evaluations. We know how to bring fresh material to the situation, and then we can rebuild. So I am not giving any impression that we're trying to replace the medical profession. We need both.
It's
you're
like
not
a
going to come see
compliment.
me if you break your arm.
No, not at
An
all.
orthopedist and get it casted and all that. So it's just trying to encourage people. How do you want to take care of yourself? You're ultimately in charge. I mean, I always ask people this: who do you want taking care of your health decisions? You or the government?
And guess what? I'm gonna pick me all day long.
I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, I want the government making my healthcare decisions."
Yeah, and I was just talking about when we were talking about the food pyramid yesterday. This is a different conversation about when the FDA completely changed and we could have different things in our food that were never allowed, such as rat feces. I mean, that was nasty.
Yeah.
But I really want to give a shout out to Nicole Shepers, and we got some live comments going on. Is Shelby your wife?
Yep,
Shelby is the bomb. That's what she says. All the tests are life changing.
Yes.
So we definitely want to, work towards getting our way to a wellness way. Here in Columbia, Dr. Jeremy Maxwell, you're in where else are your wellness ways located throughout the U.S.?
Oh, just go to thewellnessway.com and you can see where we're located.
Yeah.
And do us a favor, if you're on right now.
Yeah.
Share this.
Just hit the
share button and send it to all your media, because I guarantee you somebody needs to hear this today.
Absolutely. You know what? And I'm hesitant to say like, subscribe, and share, because I fumble over my words on that. But I'm out here like all the time. Yeah, it's hard. Well, I had to break it down into small pieces, and it's not over 9 letters, so I could do it.
Okay, so let's go back to what you said. You wanted me to break down, if somebody can't get tested yet, what are some things that they can do to kind of start moving in the right direction?
Yeah.
So we talked about avoiding processed sugar.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good one.
And that's a big one.
I would say begin to eliminate a lot of your bread products.
Okay.
So I don't necessarily want to dive deep into the whole gluten thing right now, because, you guys can all really research that on your own. It really does boil down to the fact that they have altered some things. Yes, there's some GMO, things that happen, I think, naturally. And I think there's a lot that have happened unnaturally. And gluten, it's well documented that gluten can be in any grain, really. It's in oats, it's in corn, it's in wheat, just a little bit in rice, but some people kind of argue about that.
Okay.
But that gluten protein is very difficult to digest and can have negative effects on the barrier system.
And it's mostly in bread, or it's okay.
Any of those grains. So, we want to avoid processed sugar. We want to avoid grains. Again, that some people will absolutely lose their minds hearing that.
No, I think they've heard it before, but
then get off the soda.
Oh yeah. Listen, let me tell you,
there is nothing good about soda. It used to taste good to me. I haven't had it in years. It's terrible. It's one of the leading causes of osteoporosis. Wow. Diabetes. I mean, the amount of sugar
in a soda. I got 2 stories.
Yep.
Okay, so we've always heard about how that you could take a Coca-Cola and pour it on your battery to remove battery acid. Okay, so my battery went dead twice. Second time, I'm just a woman in distress, but I got some jumper cables. All I need is a car, and somebody to, rev it up. So I'm in the parking lot and I'm looking for, and this guy comes up and he says, "Hey, I don't think anything's wrong with this battery. I feel like it's got life. You just have too much battery acid on it." And he said, "Go get a Coca-Cola." So I'd never seen it before with my own eyes. Let me tell you, got a Coke out the fridge. I don't drink them, but I have them for guests. Poured it on there. Right through battery acid. What is that doing to your body?
And stuff, we just ate up.
Through battery acid, and it was instantaneous. 1 can, not several cans, 1 can. Second story, when I was inside, we had lots of people who would become blast instructors. There were people that were just really wanted to take this opportunity to be physically fit, and it was a job to them. So one of the things that they always told me is, wouldn't you rather eat your calories instead of drinking them? Yeah. So if you can replace that soda with some water, you might be able to have something more to eat, or just take that out. We've got some more people tuning in. And this man said, like, subscribe, and share. So do it.
And you can even comment. We will watch for questions or anything like that. The other thing that was interesting, I don't know. I always like try to make connections for people on just, I love it. Somebody the other day, they're like, "We don't take insurance." I was like, "No, I think everyone should pay for what they want." And I was like, plus insurance, how has that helped people become healthier? They look more overweight, more sick, and all that stuff. And I said, and plus you spend money every day making yourself sick. So why don't you just start to spend money to make yourself healthy?
Yeah.
And
most of the times insurance, I don't think would cover chiropractic.
There are some.
There are some.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing. They don't really cover a lot of things that are holistic, I would say maybe, or that are not traditional forms of what is the acceptable healthcare option.
Yep.
And that's just not cool. But at the same time, if you're doing, like I said, more than what your general chiropractor offers.
Yep.
So there are services that are well worth the opportunity to change your life.
Absolutely. You know, if you drink one soda every day for a year, they found that on average you're going to gain 25 to 30 pounds a year.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know why I have that extra because I don't drink soda. I drink water all day long.
Well, that's why we test.
Yeah.
So don't guess. We can figure out what's
coming.
What's your block? You know, what's keeping you from doing that? And the other thing I figured out one time, I had somebody that was just like, I get to spend how much to figure all this stuff out?
Well, what are we talking price wise?
And I saw
so people will know what is. Yeah, go ahead.
So this guy was drinking 12 diet sodas a day.
Ew.
And I basically his amount of consumption, I figured up. I said, here's what you're spending every year on soda.
Oh yeah, because they're not cheap either.
$4,000.
You might as well smoke cigarettes too. That's terrible.
So I was like, dude, $4,000. You know what that'll get you in my office?
Yeah,
like some serious stuff. You know, I mean.
Oh, here we go, Nicole. She says it's the best money she's ever spent. And let me tell you, transformation. You're going to get to watch my transformation. It just hasn't started yet because I'm super busy. Yeah, but go ahead.
Super busy can make male or female sick if you don't manage your stress right. So see, now we want to have your body in a place that's more adaptable to the level of stress you're putting on it.
True.
So, and that's going to look different for everybody. So I frequently will remind women more than men, but men need it very much as well.
Got a thumbs up too. Appreciate you.
Is you cannot heal in the environment that made you sick. So until you change the environment, it's going to be, I can't out supplement your bad habits. I can't out supplement your environment. And so certainly there's a lot of people that keep coming back buying lots of supplements because they're not fully changing that environment or that mindset, you know. But, you know.
And for those people, just small, make a small change over a couple of weeks, add on to it after a couple more weeks, add on to that after a couple more weeks, and it becomes like second nature. Yep. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't get to the level that, you know, my wife and operate at. That's been a huge progression.
Yeah.
So, you know, but to give people an idea, you know, probably the majority of the people that come in, they're sick and need help.
Yeah.
So they're going to spend, you know, roughly, you know, $700 to $800 on testing.
Man, that's awesome though. That's not bad.
You know, and those are all cash prices. I mean, those are labs. If you were to run them through insurance, would be like our thyroid with hormone panel. Had people do it. If memory serves me correctly, it's like $375. If you run it through insurance, it's almost a $4,000 lab.
But here's the thing, these are life-changing labs because from instead of saying triglycerides are this and your cholesterol is this, you're actually giving action steps along with that. And I know this. I've been to the doctor, you know, I'm a little bit older. I've never been given action steps in which to improve my health off of blood work. So that in itself, a life-changing, you know, if somebody were to map out, Sarita, your cholesterol looks good, which will eventually happen. I'm saying I'm going to work with this guy. I'm going to know the things that are, you know, actually making me sick and to tie it back into the gut because I'm going to know what to eat to make myself well.
Yep.
So, I mean, that right there is well worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, I've done some figuring. Probably the average case that comes in, and, you know, over the course of a year, if you're just doing consults, getting testing, spending supplements, it's going to be about $5,000.
Wow.
For a year.
Yeah.
Now, adjustment wise, we do it a lot different in my office. You know, we're not like creating these huge, crazy plans for people. You know, I usually do them like 12 visits at a time. I mean, you're talking $720 for 12 visits.
And that's not
So-
bad because listen, $5,000 over a year's time. Imagine all the things that you really haven't done for yourself.
Yeah.
That you're spending money on things that aren't good for yourself.
So divide that by 12 months.
And it's super affordable.
You know?
Tell us how we find all the information about the Wellness Way. I know you're on Instagram because
Yep,
we're
we
Instagram
are
friends.
on Instagram,
LinkedIn.
TikTok, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Facebook. We do a little bit on Twitter, but now we're on Threads. We're doing a lot more Threads via Instagram.
Okay.
And that's been a great way to just have conversations with people.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I mean, our website is thewellnesswaycolumbia.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure you can go there and click on all of our links.
Yeah, and what I really love is on your TikTok that I'm jealous of your views. This man's got some content. He's got some content. Dr. Jerry Maxwell, thanks for coming on.
Hey, you bet.
I appreciate it.
Please
Anything
join
you want
us.
to? Yeah.
We're going to make this a regular deal. And so again, like, share,
Subscribe. See,
Subscribe.
thanks when you took it. Ooh, see, I need help with that. I'm gonna start having people lead me out because I don't know why those 3 words do not jam with me. However, it didn't wreck them down, kill them.
do not be the rectum damn near killed them anymore.
No.